20 years ago, I was a student minister at the Church of the Holy Trinity. My son Angus was baptized at Easter. Sarah even crowded me into confirmation, and I had lots of support from the Whitlas, from Dick and Sarah and others. So this is quite a marvelous reunion for me to be with you today. As an adult baptizant and as a mother of two boys who were baptized in the Anglican Church, I can say that for me personally, baptism was a magical, mystical experience of body, spirituality, and community all tangled up together in the messy ways that family carries on. And I loved every minute. But of course, like everyone at Holy Trinity, the crimes of the church are grievous to me. And so the role of baptism in colonization, enforced and coerced baptism is grievous to me. And I just think it's important for us to acknowledge that as one dimension of our tradition. Because of that, I'm thinking about that and what holds us together as community, and how is it possible that it feels like coming home each time I see your beautiful faces. I think we have a special ministry, not that other churches don't share in the ministry of social justice, but there's a particular quality at Holy Trinity. I think that we share in what are called moral woundedness. And so we have an ongoing work of grief that we have not yet achieved the justice we seek in the world, and that's all right. We won't in our lifetime. But that does mean that we are perhaps vulnerable and need to take care of our feelings in light of that ongoing work that will never be finished. And so I'll speak to you today from that perspective of grieving. As a chaplain, as a social worker, I think as a psychotherapist, the most valuable skill set that I have developed over time is the ability to recognize grief when I hear it and to help people to work through it. To do that, I use William Warden's model of four. There are other models. It's just the one that I love. And so let's talk about baptism in an embodied way, because that's fun and rebellious and truthful and valid, and through this lens of grieving. So I'm going to say here, the first task of grieving is to accept the facts of the loss, be it a person, a place, a job, an identity, a part of your body, whatever the loss is. The first task is to accept. Not that you have to do it in that order. You know, grieving is messy and happens in all kinds of ways, but so that we can talk about it in an organized way. There's this task of accepting the facts. Sometimes that's the easiest part. Sometimes it's the hardest part, but there it is. So if we think of baptism as a recollection, a spiritual recollection of a physical birth, each and every one of us came from a womb. Relationships with mothers can be complicated, but the fact is we, each of us, were once in a womb, and from two little bits developed into something marvelous that we now call ourselves. And that womb may not have been perfect, but it was certainly good enough to get us where we are now. That's miraculous. It's astonishing. It was a dark, wet, and warm place, constantly thrummed by the rhythm of a mother's heartbeat. And we can never go back. The womb is lost to us, our first home. And so it might be worth asking, where would contemplating that loss take me? What riches might it offer me in this spiritual journey called life? I'm going to turn my page here and make sure that I covered my points. Task two. Task two is the work of adjusting to living with the loss. And again, that can be tough or it can be easier. But adapting to a loss of an umbilical cord takes a lifetime. And yet we don't really talk about it like that. But if you think about it, without an umbilical cord to provide us every ounce of nourishment we need, we have to learn how to take care of ourselves. Without a mother's heartbeat, we have to find our own rhythms in life. There's a very beautiful Buddhist practice called metta, M-E-T-T-A. It's 4 sentences, and many people I work with find it helpful. The sentences as they were translated and given to me are, may I be safe from inner and outer harm. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be strong and healthy. May I take care of myself with joy. You can say those over and over again, curled up under a blanket in a difficult moment. You can say them for someone else with all the love when you can't actually do much for them and you're really stuck in the ministry of the cross, helpless for action, but full of love and prayer for improvement. The third task comes to us as a mental exercise of relocating that which was lost. These minds of ours that are a mixed blessing and burden at the same time really do need to conceive of things lost and place them elsewhere. And so let's work with that. So there was this womb that is no more, but which gave us everything to bring us here. And there is this biosphere, this new womb in which we live for a short time, although in moments it feels long. And if we were to contemplate each of these homes deeply over time, how might that affect our feelings and our thoughts about the biosphere in which we live and breathe? How might that create a framework in which to think about a future for us to invest in? In a way, I think this one, the relocation of that which was lost, almost in a nutshell summarizes the task of the spiritual life itself. In a way, the spiritual life, be it through prayer, contemplation, or other practices, is really an effort to create some kind of invisible umbilical cord, isn't it? A way to connect with some great sustaining source, perfect or imperfect, known intimately or known from afar, but some acknowledgement of something to which we are connected that has in some way our best interests at heart and the sustenance of our needs provided for. And what if, since we're embodying this reflection, what if nature were as much a part of that anchor to which we are tied as spirit or a disembodied God? What then might our living and breathing, our invisible umbilical cord, mean for us? What ways of thinking and relating to this world might we discover? Task 4, I'm just going to pause for a second, ask for quiet in my house. The joy of having 2 adult sons in the house. Task 4, becoming able to really invest oneself and one's being in a future worth living. And this, as I said at the beginning, I think, although it's a deeply personal task, it is the task of the community of the Church of Holy Trinity. Absolutely that which unites us so intimately. The work of creating, of contributing to a future that we would love to dwell in. one which we could be proud of and feel at peace in, and know that justice has been served, that life is equitable for every being, two-footed, four-footed, no-footed, every being with its rightful place in the world in harmony. I think, just to wrap this up and to pull us together, what I'd like to do is read you a humorous little bit from Becca Whitla's wonderful book. It's a sophisticated and academic book. And so I've chosen just a brief little story that's very straightforward and easy to grasp. I'm talking about a moment when Becca thought she was coming to the end of leading a choir. It is December, and we are gathered again on Wednesday evening. We are celebrating our success because we sang at the first ever official Toronto Hotel Workers' Day. The choir would like to keep going. That is a good thing. They are energized and empowered. But I am keenly aware of the fact that I am the middle-class Euro-Anglo leader of this choir of women, mostly from the Caribbean. Also, my contract is over and I think my work is done. So I tell them that I have decided to leave as their leader, to make space for a woman of color to lead the choir. Lynette, one of the singers in the group, says, matter-of-factly, "You can't leave, we broke you in." And that's it. To me, that's the spiritual life. And I think that kind of moment might be where all of these reflections could lead us in our praxis and our practice, to those messy, surprising moments of union, just where we think there is no umbilical cord at all to tie us together. We find that there is. It's in hope, it's in mercy, it's in joy. And it takes work to get there, but it's oh so worth it. Thank you very much for giving me a few moments to share these thoughts with you.